evidently there's us and them. You may be surprised to hear, given what I've already quoted from him, that Harris holds that human life begins at conception. Do not conclude that it makes him pro-life. Remember, to the bioethicist, human is simply a biological classification. Quote, the human embryo and fetus, he says, Harris says, the human embryo and fetus in all stages of its development from conception to birth is no more interesting or complex than the embryos of other creatures, and indeed no more interesting than the adult forms of other creatures, for example, cats and canaries, unquote. It logically follows from such a view that animals must not be excluded from any consideration of what constitutes personhood. To exclude them would amount to speciesism. This is the belief that the human species is superior over others, a belief that is as, quote, disreputable as a claim of superiority based on, quote, race, gender, nationality, religion, or any other non-moral characteristic, unquote. In light of what he says, you may wonder what Harris would finally consider to be a person. It is, he says, quote, a being that can value existence, unquote. That means, quote, persons might, in principle, be members of any species or indeed machines, unquote. He goes on, quote, persons who want to live are wronged. So now we know who persons are. Persons who want to live are wronged by being killed. Non-persons or potential persons cannot be wronged in this way because death does not deprive them of something they value. If they cannot wish to live, they cannot have that wish frustrated by being killed, unquote. Now, Harris is explicit as to who these non-persons or potential persons are, but so is Tom L. Beauchamp, another contributor to the December issue of the Kennedy Institute of Ethics Journal, and I'm going to quote him. Beauchamp is on the Georgetown faculty and is co-author with James F. Childress of a standard textbook in the field, Principles of Biomedical Ethics. To him, whether or not a being is a person depends on whether he enjoys, quote, moral personhood. That is the cognitive and moral capacity criterion, quote unquote, for determining whether it possesses moral rights, which is to say whether it should be considered as more than a, quote, unprotected person. Quote, it is safe to assume that a creature is a moral person if, one, it is capable of making moral judgments about the rightness and wrongness of actions, and two, it has motives that can be judged morally. Given 1 and 2 above, quote, listen, quote, unprotected persons would presumably include fetuses, newborns, psychopaths, severely brain-damaged patients, and various demented patients, unquote. The unprotected persons named by Beauchamp are the same named by Harris as non-persons or potential persons, but Beauchamp differs from Harris insofar as he does not contend that animals need to be counted as moral persons. On the other hand, he holds that humans who are not moral persons, fetuses, newborns, etc., may be treated the same